Okay, so the Knicks had a 14-point lead, wasn't much time left, and they lost in overtime. But I'm going to defend the Knicks. They did not choke. The Knicks had 3 baskets and 2 free throws in the final 3 minutes. They scored enough. Now, they had some bad turnovers, but they scored enough. The story of the game is give the Pacers credit. That was insane. They couldn't miss. In the last 6 minutes, they shot over 70%, and they were hard shots. Aaron Nesmith, 6 straight threes, 3 in the final minute. Now, this team plays with pace and tempo, so they score fast. We know that. They've done it all season, and they're a great clutch team because of Hali. They're 31-2 when they score 120 points or more. So you do not want to get into a track meet with the Pacers. That's Milwaukee tried it. Cleveland tried it. The Knicks tried it. Don't. They never get tired. They're like watching ninth graders. They never get tired. Charles Barkley said it at halftime. This pace totally favors Indiana. And what's remarkable about Halliburton and Indy is they play at this pace and they don't turn it over. They had 7 turnovers on the road against the Knicks' size and the Knicks' tenacity. 7 turnovers. Jalen Brunson alone had 7. So what you watched last night, and I said, I think Indy's going to win the series. This is what they did to Milwaukee. This is what they did to Cleveland. They're controlling the tempo. Listen, give the Knicks credit. Knicks should have won. They shot 51%. They got a bad bounce. And I think last night New York beats everybody in the league except Halliburton and the Pacers and maybe OKC. Halliburton got the bounce. Nesmith was unbelievable. How about the Gonzaga kid, Nembhard? Multiple threes late. Obi Toppin. I mean, just everything worked for them late. But I'll tell you, Halliburton is amazing because he reminds me of Steve Nash. Steve Nash won an MVP, averaging 15 a game. The next year, he won another MVP, averaging 18 a game. But Steve Nash, one of the smartest athletes I've ever met, had unbelievable self-awareness. And that's Halliburton. What do you need? I'll provide. The guy plays with zero fear. But his self-awareness, he knows what the clock is uncanny. The choke sign, I love it. Bring it on. But he is an all-timer, man. He is the aggressor. He can play with physicality. And again, we can bang on the Knicks, but in the last 6 minutes of the fourth and overtime, they scored 24 points. The Pacers scored 44 on 72% shooting. That is unheard of. The Knicks should have won. Now, the Knicks had too many turnovers, but I think this comes down to Halliburton and the Pacers play with the aggressiveness that I think Celtic fans wish Tatum and Boston did. Like they just play downhill. And Lamar Jackson could throw 48 times a game and win. But that's not how Lamar and the Ravens are built. They're a power football team with Derrick Henry. The Knicks stayed in this game, shot 51%. But this is going to be a 6 or a 7 game series. This is not what the Knicks are. And yesterday on this show, I kept saying over and over, the Pacers play the fastest pace in the league. What a perfect name for a team. Last 3 years. Knicks are the slowest team. That's not a bad thing. For the playoffs, half-court offense is great. They play the slowest pace. Whoever wins the pace will win the series. And the Knicks almost pulled it off. But if you remember last year when these two teams played, what happened? Indiana played really, really quick, up-tempo. And over time, the Knicks wore down. They just didn't have the body. So Indy's got more bodies. They're built for this. Their guys are in their prime. Halliburton controlled it like he did against Cleveland, like he did against the Bucks. The Knicks almost pulled it off, but here's Hali after.
Basketball is fun. Winning is fun, and I'm so proud of the resilience of this group. We've shown it all year. We've had to win in so many different, random, unique ways, and today we just kept going, kept fighting, and man, that's fun.
There's Halliburton is a lot like Steve Nash, and that everybody that played with Steve Nash was at their best. He'd give you 15, but he elevated everybody. James Harden scored. We have a lot of guys that score. Halliburton, this is a one-star team with a bunch of B-plus players. But what's amazing is the B-plus players for Indiana, because of Halliburton and self-awareness and movement and pace, they're all playing at an A level. Like all of Indiana's players are rising to the moment. This is not about the Knicks not playing well. This is about Indiana being on fire and making a remarkable number of big shots. If you did not hear the final call, we'll give it to you from the Pacers radio network.
Halliburton driving. He's in the lane. He nearly lost it. He backs up and unloads a three. Oh! That did not happen! It hit the back of the rim. It popped high into the air, and it dropped gently through the net. And the Pacers have, the scoreboard shows 125-125. It's called a two-point shot.
So it's just it's an incredible moment. And I'll get to two things that worry me about the Knicks going forward. Let's now talk about Brunson. So Jalen had 43 points. And you say to yourself, that's a great night. But he had 7 turnovers. Why? Because he's playing faster than he's used to. That's the most turnovers Jalen Brunson has had all season. And he also got into foul trouble. Again, we're asking somebody who can type 40 words a minute to type 60. It's just, this isn't what he's built for. Brunson and Halliburton are two very different players. Brunson's a scorer, small, strong. He uses, his leverage. He uses his hips. He does that mid-post game. He just plays way bigger than his height. But he is a scorer and a finisher. He sometimes is plotting. He wants to get you in that half court. He wants to work you. He's going to work his shoulders. He's going to work his hips. Halliburton's different. He's long, gangly, herky-jerky. It's kind of awkward. He's strong and can use it a couple of times on occasion. But what he is, he's the pace car. He is the guy that's going to, okay, I'm going to tell you how fast we're all going to play. And you can't stop him because he's just so long and gangly. He's a very awkward player. He's hard to defend. The two things that worry me about New York after last night, first of all, Karl Anthony Towns, that's about as good as he can play in the playoffs. He was efficient. He's not always efficient. He hit his threes. He didn't get in foul trouble. Cat gets in foul trouble. Cat does dumb fouls. He's a really good offensive player, but through his career, he drives you nuts. I thought Cat last night was spectacular. I don't know if he can duplicate that. I just don't know if he can play any better than that. It was fun watching it. The second thing, is Brunson going to say, hey, man, I got 43. I'm going to play at this tempo. We're scoring. We should have won the game. They could talk themselves into that. So, but again, I'll say it. Last year when these two teams played, in the end of the series, Brunson last night, because of foul trouble, played the fewest minutes of any New York Knicks starter. That is not what you want. I don't care if he scored 43 points. And to lose in overtime when you have the shorter bench. Game 1, you blow a pretty big lead at that pace. I didn't love it. That's a game it feels like for the road team to win that game and control the tempo. Didn't love it for New York. Here's Brunson after.
Give them a lot of credit. They close the game out like they've been doing it all playoffs. Just not really good on our part.
For all the players, and I know it wasn't a huge number, but for the players that said Halliburton is overrated, check yourself. Because when I'm watching and we were sitting there talking, I look at the box score, and the difference is Knicks had twice as many turnovers and a couple costly ones in overtime. That's your ball game. But I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back on the choke thing. The Knicks scored 6 minutes left. They scored 24 points. That's enough. And by the way, you have turnovers when you're playing above your tempo. But I think what you're seeing with Halliburton here, and I don't know if it's innate. I don't know if you're born with it, but there are some people that not only does he rise in the moment, but he elevates all his teammates in the moment. I got nothing against the Pacers squad. It's a really good team. But there's a lot of B guys right now that are playing an A level on the road in New York against a really well-coached team. What you're watching with Indiana is we just got to give them credit. We can blame the Knicks on this. You got to give Indiana credit. They are really, really, and we said this, J-Mac, you called it, you picked them over Cleveland. And one of the reasons you did, you fell in love with Halliburton last year. Last year on the show, folks, if you didn't listen, he went crazy on Halliburton. He basically called him the next Magic Johnson, and I don't think that's his style, but I do see a lot of Steve Nash.
Yeah.
He can score. He can take the foot off the gas. He can play. But Nash when you watch Steve Nash, how did Steve Nash win the MVP at 15 a game? Because he controlled the basketball game. Steve Nash literally controlled every game he was in. People were like, how can you win MVP? You had to watch the Suns play. What Indiana's doing, and you caught on to it last year, is they are, between Caitlin Clark and the Pacers, they are so much, to me, fun to watch.
Yeah, I love the Halliburton story. You know, Midwest kid, grew up kind of under-recruited. The big colleges didn't want him. I love the stories of these underdogs coming out of nowhere. Colin, he's emerging right now, honestly, as one of the most clutch players in the league. And, I mean, I don't see how he's not like an all-NBA guy, how he's not like a top 10 player. He does everything, and like you said, makes everyone around him better.
Think about that, much like Nash. Last 2 years, we've talked about the Sixers and the Celtics, and we've talked about all these teams. Pacers back-to-back, Eastern Conference Finals.
But let's be real. The Knicks are not in that much trouble. It took 6 threes from Nesmith in the fourth quarter. That's, I believe, an NBA record.
Right.
Listen, we're not going to see that again. However, the choke by my Knicks has me a little nervous because you know they go into game 2. You can't blow game 2. And Pacers have shown a propensity. They stole game 2 in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Indy is they're completely fearless. Home or away doesn't matter. Yeah. And I think some of that is, it's almost like hockey. It's when you play fast, the road crowd, you're flying by the crowd. This is not a plodding half-court offense where the fans are on you. They're just up and down the floor. It's hard to get your arms around Indiana. They're just breakneck. You know, I'm not comparing him in any way to the Showtime Lakers, but the Celtics could do more half-court. The Lakers were up and down the floor. Nash's Suns were up and down the floor. Jordan's Bulls could do a lot of half-court stuff. So it's just, they just, watching Indiana, obviously the New York crowd's insane and wonderful. You can't tell where they're playing. Every time the Pacers play, it looks the same. They're a tempo team more than anything else.